Okay, what I want to talk about last in this lesson is instrument racks, and what I'm going to show is how to create a supersaw sound using the instrument rack and simplers only. And then I'm going to go and create a modular synth, a type of modular synth using racks within racks. Okay, let's get started. First thing I want to do is I want to add an empty instrument rack. Dragging it into the dead space, of course, creates it here on the track. And then I'm going to go down to the Live 7 Legacy Pack for the simpler. Now, the Live 7 Legacy Pack is something that if you're a Live 8 user, go ahead and download it right away. They didn't include this stuff in Live 8. I don't know why. I guess because they thought it might have been bloated or something. But it's really useful stuff if you're doing sound design stuff. So it's at Ableton's site. Just download the Live 2 Legacy Pack. I'm going to go here and I'm going to pull this guy into my instrument rack. I'm going to turn on monitoring so I can play here. And here's how it sounds. Okay, that's our analog saw sound. Okay, next thing I'm going to do, and you'll see why in a minute, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn off the velocity first thing. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to turn this guy down because I'm going to add some more of these and it's going to be really loud. And next I'm going to turn on the LFO because I'm going to try to create some vibrato here. Here's how it's going to sound. I'm going to push this guy up to 3%. And then I'm going to push the frequency up to around 5 hertz, sort of a classic analog vibrato sound. Should sound pretty familiar. Okay, so in order to create a... one more thing I want to create, I want to attach these to the macros here. We talked about macros before. You can also do these on the simpler, which is great. I'm going to click the map mode here. I'm going to turn on the attack. I'm going to attach that to a map. So it says velocity envelope attack there. And I'm going to switch on the release too. So you can hear how that sounds in a second here. I'm going to just, they're both turned all the way down right now. If I turn on the attack and I make it longer, it'll sound like so. Okay, and if I turn on the release, it'll sound like so. Okay. Now I'm going to add, it's important to do these things before you add the other oscillators. You can always go back and redo stuff, but here's what's going to happen now that I've got all that stuff set up for my first oscillator. Now I'm going to duplicate this guy. Control D to duplicate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I got 6 of these guys. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the frequency of all the other oscillators. So this first one was 5.21. Now I'm going to just change it slightly for the next one. Maybe slightly higher for the one after that. Maybe a little bit more for the next one. A little bit more. And we'll leave, yeah, we'll even switch that one too. Okay, now listen to how that sounds. Got sort of a nice classic chorusy supersaw sound there. I'll turn up the macro up. Now note that the macro populated throughout all of the different oscillators, so that's why I did it before I duplicated them. And then one other thing that'll make it extra nice and juicy is if you change the panning on these guys. So I'm going to make the first one all the way left, first one all the way to the right, and then just go down a little bit. See, that sounds pretty good. And just for a little extra sauce, let's take this last one here, and we're going to leave him in the center, but we're going to transpose him down a whole octave, so 12 half steps. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about how to make sort of a modular synth from these racks. So I've turned off the monitoring for this channel because I want to show you how this works, and I'm going to drag another instrument rack in to the space here. I've created another empty instrument rack. Now I'm going to just cut this guy and paste him right here. Okay, now he's in there. Let's rename him Supersaw just so we can see what we're looking at. Okay, now next thing we want to do, so we've got our nice sounding supersaw sound. First thing, what do you need in a synth? beside that, what comes right after the oscillator? It's got to be the filter, right? So let's add an auto filter in right now. Gonna add him right here, right behind the analog saws. Now notice that he's not inside the supersaw rack. He's in this bigger rack that's right behind the supersaw. And that's important because we don't want it to be inside one of the chains inside the supersaw rack. We want it to be in the rack that's outside of it so that it's acting on all of the chains that are inside the supersaw rack. So listen to how it sounds. Okay, so that filter is obviously acting on all of the different oscillators that are inside that supersaw rack. Great, that's what we want. Now, so we can make this guy easier to access, we're going to attach macros to the resonance and cutoff. So I switch it to map mode. I'm going to click on the cutoff first, map that guy, switch the attach the resonance. Okay, so now we got that. These guys are attached. Get out of map mode and can't hear anything even though I'm clicking the keys because it's all the way down. Let's add some resonance. All right, sounds pretty good. Okay, now what's the next thing that you would probably want inside a modular synth? I guess it's nice to be able to sweep this frequency, but it would really be good to have like an envelope, like a filter envelope. This is a little bit trickier, so there's probably a better way to do this that I didn't come up with, but here's the way that I came up with. I'm going to go back up here to the Live 7 Legacy Pack, and I'm going to go to the attack stuff. I'm going to add what's called a Mallet Attack to my synth here. And this is just I'll solo it so you can hear what it sounds like. Okay, that's what that guy sounds like. We want to make it so that that guy there is triggering the filter. So we're going to switch on the envelope here for the filter, and then we're going to sidechain it. So you click on the triangle here, and then click on the sidechain thing, audio from instrument rack, and then everything in the instrument rack is available under this thing. So I'm going to go to supersaw, Mallet Attack, post FX. Okay, you can't hear it right now because everything's turned off. I'm going to unsolo that guy, and then I'm going to turn this guy off so you can't hear the attack itself. It's just working as a modulator. And I got to turn down the attack. And then, so the effect's a little more pronounced. I'm going to turn up the gain here. Turn it up to like 15. Turn down the attack. Okay, that sounds cool. Now we want to attach that amount to this macro here. This envelope amount. And so you can hear the effect here. I'm going to turn this right, it'll be at 0, doing or practically 0, doing almost nothing. Turn up more. Okay, that works. Okay, now if we want to change the okay, so for another thing that's going on here is that note that we can't see the attack and the release for the whole synth inside this macro. So if we want to collapse this guy, we wouldn't see it anymore. We still want to see that stuff, so let's click on these guys right now. And I'm going to map him here and map him here. Okay, so now we can even close this, and we can still get the same thing here. I'm going to turn this envelope guy back to 0, and then turn him way up. Okay, and then now I'm going to get back in here so that we can see this, because I want to make this Mallet Attack something else that I also want to do, that I can touch from the macros on this guy. So I'm going to try to map him, but notice I'm still in map mode here, but I can't map it. All you can map is the macros themselves for the racks that are inside the rack. So I'm going to make this guy attached to the macros in here, and then just attach, or just get rid of this, or attach this decay here, and then get out of map mode here, turn on map mode here, and map this guy to this. And you can see what's happening here. If you look, I'm moving this guy on the left and it's moving the decay amount on the right. So that's going to be useful if we turn this envelope modulation thing on. Not sure why that didn't change the sound. Okay. But it still sounds pretty cool. Okay, now last thing we want to look at. Oh, probably because I have the sustain turned all the way up. Okay, I'll try that now. Yep, that was it. Okay, so I turned the sustain down, and now that Mallet Attack is really the decay of it is really affecting. Okay, so you can hear that the sound of that now. Okay, now last thing, we got a couple of macros left here. So what else can you add in a modular synth? First thing that springs in my mind is delay. Let's get ping pong delay in there and get them just in the right spot, and then awesome. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to attach that guy to a macro too, so you don't have to have it on all the time. So I'm going to click the dry wet amount and map him. See, it's not on all the time, but if I turn on, there it is. And then next thing, let's add also add some reverb. So get out of map mode so we can get this guy. And then what's a good reverb? How about warm reverb long? That sounds like a reverb that we'd like. Okay, so we'll get him right there. And we'll map his wet dry amount too. So I'm going to map that. Dry wet. And here we are. Here's our sort of mocked up modular synth.